Do you guys remember your first hard drug addiction? I sure do. It all started for me in high school when one of my friends messaged me and asked if I wanted to play a factory building game. At the time, I thought it was the dumbest thing I had ever heard because how could building a factory be fun? But I decided to play with him anyways just to make him happy, and a few hundred hours later, I realized I had a problem. Thankfully, with the help of some lesser drugs, I managed to get off Factorio, and the last few years, I haven't touched it. And then, my hard drug got a DLC. I knew I was gonna relapse, and by the way, I was right, so I figured I might as well record it, that way I can justify the amount of hours I'm gonna put into it, and make a video out of it. So that's what this is. In this video, you will join me on my entire journey through Factorio Space Age, from my first miner being placed to leaving the solar system. But at this point, I have rambled on for long enough, and the factory must grow. So without further ado, let's roll the shitty intro and get straight into this video of an engineer's journey through Factorio Space Age. Well, here we go. Before we go, I gotta generate a map that I think I can make work. And just as a heads up, yes, I upped pretty much everything to 200% because that's just how I always remembered playing. All of the ore stuff to help me, and also all of the enemy spawn stuff, all their frequency, evolution factor, time factor, stuff like that. I doubled all of it because I just like playing a little bit faster. Anyways, now that I have a map that I like and all my settings ready to go, it is time to get started. Alright, let's go. Time to get back to the world of addiction. This is my second attempt at it. The first one, failed in misery. This playthrough begins by trying to get some resources and some research up and running quick, because I have two nests that are very close to me, and I need to get rid of them fast. That'll be the first war, is taking that thing down. For now, though, I am focused on trying to rush all of the early game technologies, turrets especially, so I can start dealing with these nests near my base as the pollution is spreading fast. I don't like how fast this stupid thing expands, man. I got 5 nests to get total, and then I'm kind of home free for the first little bit. That should be all the red science needed. Research this military shit. Now that I've got this very basic iron smelting plant online, I can see the nests getting ready to attack. So I'm hoping some of these early turrets can deal with that. Please piss off. And with all that military technology and some ammo and turrets now made and stockpiled, it is time to go on the offensive. Alright, it's one of those bastards dealt with. Much better. Now that looks a little more like the Factorio world I wanted to see. While I may have won this battle, I know I got a war coming my way pretty goddamn soon, so the factory must grow. This growth was mainly focused on expanding the power plant, getting iron online, copper online, and mainly focused on getting my main bus online, because that is all I know in this game. A main bus. Everything must be a bus. It's gotta be a bus. It has to be a bus. So let's work on getting the bus. Okay, so with all this iron, I need to start making a shit ton of ammo. That's a direct quote, by the way. Okay, that's more like it. With the bus now online and me having one yellow belt of iron and copper going, I'm noticing that enemies are starting to get closer as I begin to make my sub-factories. Belts. The very highly peaceful belts will be manufactured directly next to the ammunition. Might need to go launch a war on this front here. Where the hell did that come from? We got fast inserters, turrets, belts, underground belts, and ammo being automated. The attacks were increasing in frequency, and the nests were getting kind of close to my power plant and other vital parts of my factory, so I did have to do a little native cleansing from the area. Alright, I need to go fucking destroy this place. I gotta destroy that, then I gotta destroy this down here. This cleansing will continue on as I try to take out nests near my base, then work on building out my factory until I can get some automated defenses online. But for now, I'm really just focusing on military, because again, the spawn rate and the spawn area and all that stuff is upped in this playthrough, so it's gonna be a little rough for the first while. At this point, the factory's expanded decently. I have a lot of the basic parts automated. I've got red and green science now set up, which is good, so I can actually start researching some stuff. Need better military, please. And yeah, I know it doesn't look like much, but it is home for now, and it is working out most of the time. Must be down here. Like, the attacks are increasing in size, severity, all the big numbers. These vicious and unprovoked attacks on my land will be paid back in blood in the future, But for now, I need to focus on protecting what's mine that I stole from them. So the next little while, which will be a minute or two for you guys, but a few hours for me, is going to be putting up a massive defensive wall. And one thing you should know about me is I don't like half-assing it, like putting one and then putting another and then putting another. I just go all out. So I am walling off an absolutely massive area for this factory. Whew. That felt good. Well, putting up this first section of the defensive wall, taking out some of the nests on the way, and arming it with red ammo. By the way, I got a red ammo factory now, because that is absolutely better than yellow ammo, and I'm gonna need it. The locals really hit me where it hurts with this attack. Shit! God damn it. Just don't go after stuff that's already set up nicely. No! That's the... Please... In one thing you go after is that. Did that really just happen? I had hundreds of green science in here. They really just did that. This attack was obviously grounds to go commit war crimes against the perpetrators, so after researching the engine and getting myself a nice automobile with a machine gun on top, I am off to introduce them to some freedom. I'm gonna clear this, clear that, then go down here, clear, yeah, alright. I spent about the next 20 to 30 minutes just going nest to nest to nest all around my base and just clearing them all out, only being stopped by my own stupidity and sacrificing my car. At this point, though, I have bought myself a little bit of wiggle room, and I do mean a little bit because the evolution factor for destroyed nests is upped in this playthrough, so they are going to start spawning at an increased rate, meaning that I need to put up a big-ass wall and add a lot of guns on my side of it. So that's what I got back to doing. Thanks to me not facing too much resistance, I was able to get 2 of the walls up pretty peacefully and pretty quickly, expanding my territory by a lot. Alright, that is 2 walls done. Boom, boom. Next up, here. And due to the fact I've been producing red ammo since I started making this wall, the belts are mostly saturated and most of the turrets have access already. But at this point, I decide that the bottom right-hand corner of my base, where I've got some iron and a little bit of coal, is going to be like the start of my main bus. So I want to clear out any nests even remotely in that region of the base, which means it is back to committing atrocities. Good thing I got plenty of these. 12:30. I have now been going for 6 hours almost. I should be going to bed. I got stuff to do tomorrow. And these smelting arrays are not going to build themselves. And with those atrocities now committed, it is time to finish up the 4th and 5th walls, fully boxing in my base. I also got a second power plant up and running now, because this seems like a decent spot for it, given that I've got coal right nearby. And it was also around this point, after finishing the 5th wall, that I realized I had been playing for 7 hours, and I was fully hooked again. With everything now protected though and walled off, it is time for me to start working on the hub of the main bus, which of course starts with iron. In total, I want my main bus to have 4 belts of iron on it and 4 belts of copper, but given how close the iron is, we're going to start there by setting up 4 smelting arrays. Alright, let's get a main bus going. The main bus will start here. I've got room on both sides, and I can just keep going up this way as needed. With lots of iron now being produced, I'm gonna need a lot of red belts as I am running low and my starter factory isn't producing enough. So I'm making a small little factory to get a ton of red belts going. And with all of my newly acquired red belts, I can set up a massive copper smelting array. Then it was just a matter of running belts from the massive copper nodes down to my copper smelting array and putting all 4 lines of copper onto the main bus, giving me a pretty decent starting main bus. Before really starting to put my main bus to work, there was a few nests that were attacking the wall right next to my main smelting array, so I am off to deal with those and all of the medium bugs that come with them. Oh, come on. While I was dealing with these locals in a somewhat effective manner, I was noticing that the size of these bases are getting much bigger, much faster, meaning that I will start having to deal with big bugs soon. Alright. That was a brawl, that one. Which means I gotta put this main bus to work by getting some factories online. First and foremost, a proper red belt factory. Again, this one doesn't need to be making too many, just need enough so that I don't have to make them by hand. At this point, there was probably a bunch of products I could make, but I was missing a few parts for some of the products I want to add, stone and steel in particular, so instead of starting to make the other parts first, I'm going to go get stone and steel on the main bus. Thankfully, I have a massive stone patch right near me, and I have a decent-sized iron patch on the other side of my base, still inside the walled-off area, so I'm going to go harvest those, starting with the stone. Alright, there we go. Some bricks now. There's stone blocks are now coming through. I did the math wrong, and I only ended up with about a half belt of stone, but I don't imagine I'll need more than that, so that's okay. But now I gotta go harvest this iron node to get as much steel as I possibly can. But that will produce my steel, which I will then run to the main bus. Once I've got the steel on the main bus, then I can just start making shit. When all was said and done, I ended up with about a 1/3 belt of steel, which isn't great, but it could be worse, and this should be more than fine for a starting factory. Anyways, now the main bus is fully ready, I think, or as it's ready as it's going to be for a starting game, so let's actually get started. Alright, so we're getting a full, obviously these are all full belts, this is a half belt, and this is about a 1/3 belt. That should be more than sufficient. I first automated red and blue inserters because those are absolutely essential, along with assembly machine 2s. I then got power poles online because I don't want to cut down any more stupid trees because of the environmental impact, obviously. I am a good person conscious of my environmental, footprint. But with these factories online, which will really help me with expanding this factory overall, I can now work on red and green science like a proper science factory, so let's do that. I should start producing everything I need for these packs now. I'm getting the full production online. And now that I am producing 60 science of each per minute and have relocated and expanded my laboratory setup, it is time to start researching some more technologies. And if I want more, I can just keep going that way. Which I probably will. At some point. Big bugs were starting to appear around this point, so I decided I needed to get military technology online, and thankfully I've got everything on the main bus. So at this point I get a nice big factory producing military science up and running and get that researching, because those technologies will really help me in this war. I just want these, all done. That way I know my walls will hold up as good as they can for a while. I also did something a little bittersweet by beginning to tear down my starter factory, as I'm not really gonna need it anymore, and I don't need the extra pollution for now. And also to help some of the neighbors who do not like the pollution at all, I went out to forcibly remove some of them from the pollution sphere for their own good. It's a brutal war, but one that had to be fought. I feel bad walking over these corpses. I do. A sacrifice I'm willing to make. With those guys now dealt with, it is time to dive into oil. Thankfully, I've got all the oil technology research, and I got a nice little oil patch in my base, so I'm off to harvest that first. And after pumping it back to roughly around the middle of my main bus, because I figure I'll add oil products on to the main bus at some point, I begin figuring out oil technology again, because I don't remember anything about it. I'm getting 472 oil per second. 24 of these guys. I have how many? 12. I'm gonna have to go to war again. Starting to have some problems in the walls. During this oilification process, I did go out to deal with some more locals and also managed to get plastic and sulfur online, which is good. This plastic and sulfur will be added to the main bus, with its primary purpose being for chemical science, as I'm gonna need a lot of chemical science pretty fast, as I want to get robots online. Because robots, if you don't know, they can repair things, they can build things, they can defend my wall for me. So once those are online, I'm pretty self-sufficient. First things first, though, I need blue science. I need one every 8 seconds for these guys. Okay, there we go. Once this blue science was coming through, and again, I'm making 60 per minute, I begin speedrunning all the technologies to get to robots. Okay, got construction robots now. We'll get that going soon. With those guys now unlocked, the first thing I'm going to need to start producing is roboports, because they take a while to make, and I'm going to need a lot of them to cover my entire base. With those now producing, and before I can actually really get into robots, I unfortunately need more power, so I'm off to set up another coal power plant. Okay, power is not as much of a concern anymore. After that power plant was all set up, though, I really do need to focus on these robots, so that's what the next little while is going to be spent doing, securing some oil and using it to manufacture some beautiful robots. All right, so I just got to figure out how to use... Dude, what am I going to do with all this? The most difficult part of getting these robots online is the flying robot frames, but once I had a little factory going for that, it was really smooth sailing and robots were starting to come through. Okay, construction robots are online. All right, we're getting there. All right, robots are now being produced, though, at least constructions. The entire wall is now covered by logistics robots. Let's freaking go, dude. At this point, even though my outer wall is defended, I should start beefing up that defense for when the bigger attacks do start coming, as I want my robots to be able to repair, and it won't help too much if the defenses are just going to get overrun anyways and the robots can't repair in time. All that being said, that just means I'm automating laser turrets now, with laser turrets now being produced and slowly being added to my outer defensive wall because I don't need to do those low tasks of placing those anymore with my robots. I decided to treat myself to some power armor and then begin setting up the flamethrower wall because I always like to do guns, lasers, and flamethrowers because working together they can all stop pretty much any attack. This is gonna be a hell of a... Also, a bit selfishly, as I'm setting up this wall of flamethrowers, it is pretty beautiful watching your enemies go up in smoke. I did end up spending quite a bit of time making sure my roboports covered almost every inch of my land, because it's important that the logistics robots are bringing me stuff no matter where I am in this base, and the more roboports you have, the faster the robots charge, the more cover, it's just all around better. I'm gonna work on making this a huge, I want to get all the logistics up, and then I can build around the roboports, as opposed to getting the factories up and building the roboports around them. But speaking of my conquered land, now that I am pretty well defended with guns, lasers, and flamethrowers, I still need to grab one more large piece of land that I want. So what better time to do it than now, and what better way to do it than with my newly unlocked tank? I think I've successfully pissed off the population. Oh, man. So after I set up a little factory to keep pumping out all of the explosive tank shells, it is time for another beautiful conquest. It's called a drive-by. It did end up being quite a bloody and brutal war as I removed the inhabitants from their native land due to me wanting their stuff, but they sure didn't go down without a fight. Now that this area is cleared out, I need to set up 2 new defensive walls to guard my newly acquired land, so I am working on that. I'm hoping this will be the last wall. From here on out, I think what I'll end up doing is I'll probably end up cutting this off, and that'll be it. Any other thing I need, like if I need to go out here for oil, it's going to be a train. If I need to go out here for iron, it's going to be a train. This massive land grab turned out to be huge for the expansion of my factory, as I'm going to use the resources I gathered, A, to set up a nuclear power plant, B, to set up green circuit production, mass green circuit production, like 2 red belts worth at least, and a few other tidbits here and there that will be useful down the line. But starting off, my factory needs a ton of green circuits, as I just mentioned, so let's get that factory up and going with the power of blueprints. It's gonna take them a while, but they'll get it built. Should have everything they need, so. What am I doing? Why am I doing it this way? I'm already committed, but Jesus. Those blueprints quickly catapulted me to 2 full red belts of green circuits now on my main bus, and with these, I'm going to start making a ton of sub-factories so that all the major parts I will need are now in the logistics network. Just things that take a lot of green circuits in general and would have been inconvenient to make before. Things like power substations, refineries, chemical plants, bulk inserters, stuff like that is now all in my logistics network and ready to be built by my robots. I also did have this little stone patch right near my main bus that wasn't really being used for anything, so I figure here is the spot that I will mass produce all the types of concrete, because I'm sure I will need a ton of it. Okay, it is now 1:30 a.m. Everyone in my house is asleep. I've been recording for 9 hours. It felt like 2. With all that concrete being produced, I'm now adding some other factories along my main bus, including solar panels, accumulators, and rails. It was at this point I made a pretty crucial error when I placed down a ton of concrete blueprints, because I want concrete everywhere so I can run faster. However, I forgot that the robots building them need power. I think I might have just tripled my power supply. Well, hopefully, I'm hoping that the... Oh, fuck. Gotta go try to kickstart this entire process here. Needless to say, the next little while was spent rebooting my power grid. Okay, well, let it build. Don't do that again, unless you have accumulators and a lot of excess power. With it back online and my production chains back online, meaning my factory won't collapse quite yet, I decided to build some solar power just as a bit of a backup, automate all the train parts because we're going to need those, and then it's time to start looking into a more long-term power solution for this factory, particularly nuclear, as I have a nice uranium node near me, so let's get to mining that and researching all the technologies. There we go. Definitely need this. Let's get going. With all that research done, I make a quick factory to automate all of the nuclear parts, as it's going to take a while to build, so I want to get going on that early. And then I realized that the factory must grow. Specifically, my iron supply must grow, and thankfully there's a large patch of iron not too far from my base, so I'm going to be sending out a train line to get it and dealing with the locals on the way. Yep. I deserve that. Gotta wage war to get... This is all for a little extra steel. Fuck off! Man, with these drones getting destroyed. They're flying. Just dodge it. All of my drones down there are getting pummeled. I gotta go after that, man. After letting my robots build most of this and dealing with the vast majority of the enemies in the area, I've got plenty of iron ready to be transported back. Before I start setting up this steel plant, which is what it's going to be used for, I want a mega steel smelting factory, I decided to get a little bit of uranium processing online, because if you want a uranium setup, you need the Krovax enrichment process. However, that takes a ton of U-235 to start, so you kind of got to do it the old-fashioned way first. Turns a lot of U-235 and U-238 into one additional U-235 at the cost of 3 U-238. So this is the one we want. This is the one we want, but it's obviously pretty goddamn expensive because you need a lot of U-235 to get it going. With that all done, let's harvest all of the iron and turn it into a metric shit ton of steel. That is the correct term, by the way. All right, there we go. That's should be it all. I then add this full red belt of steel to my main bus, expand out my laboratory area, and begin automating purple science, as that's what all of this has been about. So this is just for the electric furnaces, by the way. There's a decent chance that I don't have enough plastic for this. Hopefully this will help solve our plastic problems. After a little while and a lot of processing, I now have purple science coming through so we can start researching some of those better technologies. As this research is being conducted, I figure why not head straight into yellow science too at this point. Yellow science takes processing units though, and that is the first item I'm going to work on automating, so I'm setting up this processing unit area on top of my main bus. It was at this point in the playthrough I had my second kind of oh shit moment, as I ran out of power yet again, so I had to work on kickstarting my power plant yet again. With all the problems I've been having with power, I decide now's a good time to expand out my coal power plant, as I'm not quite ready for nuclear yet. This expansion will take place on this little island near my main base that I've already cleared out of all enemies, and it's got some coal on it, so it's a perfect spot. Once I get yellow science and space science online, I can make my nuclear power plant. And that will be on this island as well. Alright, that should get my power up quite a bit. With that power now coming through, though, and me having a little more head lift to work with, I am back to working on yellow science, expanding out the processing unit factory. What's production? Should be making about 120 per minute, right? I then made myself a low-density structure factory, as I'm going to need a lot of those for both rocket launches and yellow science. This required some copper, which I was able to set up my first electric smelter array, getting a new node, which, you know, kind of a milestone. These two will be solely and only to power the low-density structures. With lots of processing units and low-density structures for both yellow science and rockets, I quickly set up a flying robot frame factory, and then I got yellow science coming through. This yellow science enabled research into a lot of much better technologies, with my personal favorites being the Power Armor Mark II and all of the awesome new modules and equipment slots that come along with that, so let's get working on that right away. With my Power Armor Mark II now equipped with reactors, exoskeletons, turrets, roboports, I am now much better off than I was 10 minutes ago. And all of these new technologies mean it's time to start looking up towards the stars, so let's begin working on everything space related. I really didn't know too much about how this all worked, but I know I'm going to need some space platforms, so let's create my first ever one and launch off to it, because I just want to be able to say that I went to space. Oh my god, I'm launching. This is so sick. This is so sick. Holy shit, this is awesome. The next little while was an embarrassingly long amount of time trying to figure out the space platforms. I know the first thing I want to set up is space science, but again, I have no idea really how to do it, so I apologize if this first platform hurts your sense of engineering, but I was trying to figure it all out. 3 times 100, so it's 5 minutes per rocket, essentially. But with the amount of parts I'm making, low density, that, and rocket fuel, I can supply 2 consistently. The thing is, oh man, that's what I just realized. The thing is, if it's not splitting them, it's just going to back up with one or the other. I'm now making 90 space science per minute. I think that's all I need. I mean, it's my first platform, and it doesn't exactly look beautiful, but it does what it's supposed to do. Anyways, after figuring it out, kind of, I now have space science being produced in space and sent back on down to Nauvis, so I can actually start researching some space science technologies. Research with space. So now I have 7 science packs in my labs. The main technology I wanted was the Krovax enrichment, and with that now researched, I can finally actually start working on my nuclear setup, which includes a massive nuclear power plant, and using the leftover U-238 that is not used for nuclear power to make nuclear ammo for my frontline turrets, because they do so much more damage. Oh, that'll start to make its way around the belts. Well, it is going to take a while to get this full Krovax enrichment process online and this loop fully producing because you need a ton of U-235 to start. I have enough uranium fuel cells at this point to fire up the power plant, so why not? So, turning on this nuclear power plant for now. Here they come. And then spend a bit of time expanding out my uranium processing because the more I can make, the faster this process will come online. And a bit of a side quest here of automating assembly machine 3s because I haven't done it yet. I then did some pretty exciting research as I discovered the inner 3 planets. And then I began the resource-intensive process of automating blue belts, which included a violent expansion to get more oil. I also had a little extra nuclear material now that my Krovax enrichment process was fully online. So I might have found a non-peaceful use for it. I then set up some small factories that will automate all of the parts needed for the space platforms so that I can travel to other planets. And I also automated a bunch of other random things that I might need, such as elevated rails. Around this time, I kind of wandered around for an hour just looking at things and not doing anything. I don't think that needs to be included in the video, but it's gonna be because I want it to be. Like, we are almost at the point where I'm just gonna be using it all to make nuclear bombs. And I kind of want nuclear fuel with it too, so. I then tried to make sure that every single possible item I could need on Nauvis was automated. That way, if there is a problem when I'm on another planet, I'll be able to just fix it with the robots here. That's all good. Alright, I mean, yeah, shit. I think we're about good. I feel like there was something, though. There was something, and I can't remember what it was for the life of me, and it's pissing me off. With me being semi-confident, though, at this point that my Nauvis base is good, it is finally time for me to start designing my first ever spaceship designed to go between 2 planets. Specifically, this one will be going between Nauvis and Vulcanus. Alright, so this, I think, is a decent enough size platform. I hope. You know what? Fuck it. What's the harm? Also, by the way, I feel like it's important to mention, I kind of knew about the planets. I didn't really know what was on each, but obviously I'd seen the trailers and what other people had done, so I decided the order I would be visiting the planets would be Vulcanus, Fulgora, and Gleba last, because I have heard nothing but negative things about Gleba, so I'm not looking forward to it. For now, though, let's continue working on this kind of ugly, but my very own spaceship. If I need to expand, I'll expand backwards. While it may not be beautiful, this is the ship that will be taking me to Vulcanus for my first ever interplanet journey, so hopefully it works. Alright, I mean, I don't know if this freighter's ready, but obviously I'll wait for the ammo to back up a bit more. So I finish up a few quick things on Nauvis, last second touches, making sure everything is good to go, dump my inventory, and hop on a rocket, as it is time to board my spaceship and head off to Vulcanus. I will see you later, Nauvis. It's time for the real space age. I guess let's go. Oh, the thrusters are thrusting. Okay, no, guns do what they're supposed to, it looks like. Ammo-wise, they're kind of running out quick. After arriving into orbit at Vulcanus, I quickly fixed a few problems I noticed on my spaceship, mainly with ammo production, so I expanded that out quickly just so this thing wouldn't self-implode while in orbit. But with that, I think I'm ready. I think it's time, so let's drop onto our first ever planet in space age. Oh my god, I'm dropping onto a planet. Oh, I'm dropping onto a planet. Let's go, dude. My first new planet in space age. Obviously, this was a new environment that I wasn't quite used to, so I spent some time getting acquainted with my new hot surroundings. But as far as I know, you don't piss them off. they won't come after you. So this is a barren wasteland. And now that I'm on the surface, I gotta get everything up and running to get me off the surface. There's so many cliffs. Oh yeah, I get cliff explosives here, don't I? These are the small ones too. I can't even imagine how big some of these guys get. After setting up a little base of operations and shipping in some pump jacks and refineries that I forgot to bring from Nauvis, it's time to try to figure out the production chains, how we get everything online, because I know these planets are supposed to be you can land on it with nothing and build your way out, so I'm trying to figure out how I would build my way out. Not too bad. All right, I'm starting to see the production chains. I'm getting it. But like I can visualize what I gotta do. It's actually a lot of work. After looking into it a bit more, it turns out the production chains on this planet are kind of overpowered, and the foundries especially are insane for producing mass quantities of stuff. Speaking of which, I got my first foundry online. So if I just do that, my first foundry's online. That looks so cool. And I then spent some time kind of debating what kind of base I want to build here. Naturally, I decided on building a bus base, because if you can build a bus, you make a bus. I'm thinking I'll make all these, because it's temporary for here, and I do want like mostly a main bus base with some obviously bots bringing more complex parts between it, but I don't want everything, like, you know, I don't really like doing it this way. But if I really want to start accessing all of the awesomeness that this planet has, I need some tungsten, which is in the Demolisher territory, so it's time to go on the offensive. Oh! Okay. Wow, that went really well, actually. Look at the size of that area. Look at all the tungsten. All right, that's good. That's good. With a ton of area now cleared out, I begin making kind of the hub of my main bus, which is going to be making all of the iron plates, the steel plates, the copper plates. Essentially, all of the stuff that would normally be on the main bus is being made here in these foundries. To get Vulcanus up to its full production capabilities, I need to power it, which thankfully is pretty easy on this planet. Alright, that's much better power-wise. And now that I got the juice, it is really time to crack down and try to get all of the main items on this planet. So let's just stop talking and start working. So I got 2 full blue belts of regular iron. Gears and pipes too. Full belt of steel, which is crazy to even say. 180 per second. Let me start. I just want to start producing some plastic. With the bare bones of this factory now made, I started mining tungsten with the big drills, actually, which, by the way, game changer. Absolutely wonderful how much they produce. Additionally, the green circuit production, which allowed me to get 2 full blue belts of green circuits very easily, was just breathtaking. I mean, I was in awe. I was in awe. All right, that's 2 blue belts worth of green circuits there from that little factory. However, the main bottleneck I was running into was plastic, as making plastic on Vulcanus really sucks. And given the amount of stuff that takes plastic in this game, I need to set up a absolutely massive array, just consuming belts on belts of coal and sulfuric acid to make myself some plastic. Okay, so this planet, Vulcanus, is great for a lot of things. However, to get 1 blue belt of plastic, this is the amount of refining I need to do. And this is before I even get to the chemical plants. Plastic. All of that for 1 belt of plastic. So now let's really get her going. Until I realize I need something else on the belt. With most of the base production now done on Vulcanus, I began laying a thick layer of concrete to protect the natural environment, like the good environmentalist I am. I then began working on the processing units and rocket fuel that will be needed to make the rockets to ship all of the science packs and Vulcanus production back to Nauvis. I'm aiming for 2 per second. A once beautiful landscape turned to concrete. When I can start blowing these cliffs up, life will be good. However, I then ran into some power problems that didn't make too much sense to me. Yeah, I was having these massive pipeline extent problems and pipeline throughput problems, but the throughput problem did not make any sense to me because pipes have unlimited throughput. Oh. That's exactly why. And this was the point where I came to the realization that while pipes might have unlimited throughput, pumps do not. Pumps are limited to 1200 per second, so that's where all of these problems were coming from. Thankfully, running some auxiliary lines to get more than that 1200 per second seemed to fix all of the problems that I had. This also means that rockets are now being produced on Vulcanus, which is just absolutely wonderful. Now that I got a main bus and rockets on Vulcanus producing pretty much everything I need, it's probably a good idea to start shipping back to Nauvis things that I need, starting, of course, with the metallurgic science packs. Look at them. There we go. Now all that's left to do is the simple process of transferring them to a different planet. So once these requests are satisfied, it'll go here, and it'll wait till the cargo equals 0. The second this lands, these thrusters should turn on. Okay. Another kind of science is now in these bad boys. That's good. With my first science packs from another planet now arriving back on Nauvis, I of course need to research all of the epic technologies that come with the metallurgic science packs, such as turbo belts, artillery, and cliff explosives. Alright, metallurgic research. Naturally, I want to start making all of this stuff on Vulcanus, as that is the whole reason we are here. However, most of it takes a lot of tungsten, and given that I'm already using up most of the tungsten, I'm going to need to expand out and get some more. However, before going out to get that tungsten, I need to automate the absolute most important, hands down best technology on Vulcanus, cliff explosives. There we go. We now have cliff explosives on Vulcanus and on Nauvis. Like, for example, hypothetically, I don't like this. Yes. Oh, man, I've been waiting to do that. Whoever put these on Vulcanus, we need to have words because they are so important for this game, but it is so much more rewarding when you finally get it, because now cliffs are no longer going to be a problem on Vulcanus or Nauvis. Anyways, now let's go out and get some more tungsten using elevated rails for the first time. Alright, working with elevated rails. Part of the tungsten patch that I was going after, and a very small part, might I add, was in a medium worms territory, and I might have been a little too confident when I decided to quickly go kill it to get it out of the picture. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, my tank! Yeah, we came to an understanding that they would keep that little section of the tungsten and I just wouldn't build on it. But the rest of it should be more than enough to power my factory, so let's get it all shipped on back. Alright, well now we see if I'm building inside his zone yet. Me and my friendly neighborhood. There we go, okay. I managed to squeeze on just enough. This should be enough tungsten to get me pretty into the mid-game. After everything was said and done and my train line was up and running, I was bringing back 3 full blue belts worth of tungsten ore, which honestly should be more than enough for the time being. Good stuff. Alright. Keep researching technology. The coal patch that was powering my entire factory up to this point was starting to look a little thin, which is fair enough considering it is just a starter coal patch, so I ran a train line off of my main train track to pick up some more coal. Though when setting up the coal train station, I did have a classic Factorio moment. Oh my god. After the humiliation from that had passed, I set up a nice tungsten plate area to make 35 tungsten plates per second to power as much of this factory as possible. And hopefully this tungsten plate can be used for a variety of humanitarian things, mainly weapons of mass destruction and stuff like that. With most of those plates going towards one of the best parts of this planet, turbo belts. And that's good, turbo belts. Done. Ready to go. I'm also sending foundries and big electric mining drills back. Nauvis now. With lots of turbo belts now being produced on Vulcanus and being shipped back to Nauvis additionally, I think it's about time for me to head home, because things on Nauvis are still good, but they're not great, and I want to get artillery online specifically, and I kind of want to be there for it. So I dump my inventory and head on back to Nauvis for the first time in a while. Okay, but this is everything. One load of this is exporting back to Nauvis. You can see it here too. I probably know there's a better way to do that, but well, I'm not exporting this in this. This is what I'm bringing up. Unironically too, it was kind of perfect timing that this was when I was pulling up to Nauvis, as behemoth spitters were just starting to show up. Oh, this nest is going to regret this in about 3,000 kilometers. I hadn't really killed too many small enemies in a while, given that I had been on Vulcanus, and my nukes had been producing and backing up for a little bit at this point, so you can probably guess what I did next. Yeah. A lot of damage you idiots are doing there, huh? Boom. Where do I go next? That felt good. That felt very good. Well, that was fun to get out of my system. I don't really want to have to run around anytime nests get close to my base. I would prefer that they just didn't get close to my base, which means it's time to start setting up all of the artillery factories on Nauvis from the materials I am getting from Vulcanus. There we go. Artillery is now being produced. It honestly didn't take too long to set it up and get some shells coming through, so let's see it start to come online. Well, I have now automated the removal of their homes. Look at the spheres, dude. That's beautiful. I know it'll take a while for the artillery shells to back up, which is fine. I was quite enjoying the show, and really, again, I am doing them a favor. Their nests are within the pollution. They don't like the pollution, so I am simply removing their nests from the pollution. Everybody wins. I don't get what they're all mad about. Well, on Nauvis, I decided to double my nuclear power plant size because I can, and if you can, you should. And then I headed on back to Vulcanus to actually work on the coal problem because while I ran the train tracks to where the coal is, I never actually loaded it up or started unloading it at the main factory. Unfortunately, I forgot to record a little bit, and by a little bit, I mean like the past hour of footage, which was essentially me getting the coal online at Vulcanus, transporting it all back, and then distributing it to the factory as needed. So coal is no longer a problem on Vulcanus. Additionally, the artillery has done a great job, as you can see on this map, of clearing the pests out of the area. And with everything going good, I think it's about time to set up a ship to go to the next planet, Fulgora. I didn't really want to use the same spaceship I used for Vulcanus, as I had learned quite a lot since I designed that spaceship, so I designed this brand new one with asteroid reprocessing in mind, as well as the lessons learned from designing my first two spaceships, actually. After a while, I'm pretty happy with the design of my new spaceship and think it should work out pretty well. So I load up my Fulgora freighter with everything that I think I will need for this trip and do kickstart a base on Fulgora, double check to make sure everything on Nauvis is good, and then it is time to go. Let's go. Let's go to the freighter and wait for everything to finish loading up. Once these requests are all satisfied. Alright, I think that'll be enough. I mean, if I need some more, I can always send it back to grab some shit, but let's go. The trip went well, though there is not much solar power out here on Fulgora, so I might need to redesign my ship later. But for now, I am here. Let's drop down onto my second planet of space age. This is yet another new environment that I'm fairly unfamiliar with, so I spent some time just getting my bearings yet again. Hello. Ooh, la mes amis. Okay, this is like a huge plateau here, so this is where I'm going to build, and I can draw from there and there, right? Oh, I forgot to see... What? Wait, what? 12%? That is a ludicrous amount. Now that I kind of understand what's going on here, I begin setting up a factory, which again is taking me a long time as this scrap mechanic is weird, and trying to deal with all of the materials that come through it is making my head hurt a bit. That's the thing, it's random though. It just gives you whatever it feels like giving you. I'm trying to figure it out. Just give me some time here. Well, actually, it won't matter for you guys. You're just watching a video. So, congratulations. You're gonna get to see this. You can just fast forward me. I gotta figure this shit out. But after a while, I've got this train on this plateau with all this scrap, bringing back scrap to this bigger island area where I'm gonna work on setting up my main Fulgora base. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Alright, that'll be that. That was very close. So, down here we've got advanced. They come here. Less advanced. I almost want to process them maybe like one more time. Okay, so we've got a loop of productivity here. After figuring out that you pretty much need to destroy everything you don't use, which kind of hurts a little bit, but it's just the way this planet goes, things are starting to get better, and some Fulgora buildings like the electromagnetic plants are coming online. So I want to start making these electromagnetic plants. I need 150 holmium plates. Goddamn. Well, there we go. I got my first electromagnetic plant. Given the inefficiency of solar panels on this planet and the hassle that would be bringing in nuclear power, I'm doing the classic strategy of just placing down a ton of accumulators and letting that charge power me through the day. Go get me some more power, please. Lightning storms will shatter the skies. Things are going good, though, on Fulgora. I've got a basic factory now. I understand what I gotta do, and the fact that there's no enemies except for the lightning on this planet is really, really nice, so there's not really much pressure to expand very fast, so I can kind of chill. And, yeah, so that's the plan, though. While that crafts, take this, bring it over here, make electromagnetic science packs out of this. As well as rocket parts, probably. I'll probably take the rocket parts out of this pilot. What the hell am I saying? Even though it is chill, the factory can never stop growing, so I need to start automating things for factory expansion, basic parts that you would see. So that's what this first factory I am building is for, on kind of the right-hand side of this massive plateau. I want to get bulk inserters, first of all, then I want to get assembly machines, chemical plants. I want to get my basics automated. But the fact is, they've all got access to what they need. They're all producing. So, like, once some of these start, you know, filling up with everything, you know, bulk inserters get filled up there, red inserters get filled up there, full-on roboport, shit like that, then it'll start running, it'll start working on other things, too. I just need a large enough backup of each. With all the items I think I'll need for production lines and stuff now being made on the right-hand side of this plateau, the bigger left-hand side of this plateau is where all of the Fulgora stuff will be made. This starts with a massive array of 5 greenbelt recycler loops that take in 5 belts of scrap and recycle them into 5 belts worth of parts. Look at this shit, dude. This is gonna be sick. After those were built, what I essentially did was make a giant loop, where the idea is I've got these massive splitter arrays that will take an item off of the belt if it's needed and if there is room. If not, it will continue on. It does this for the 12 original items. Any leftovers get recycled further down, where it does the same. Any of the items that are needed get taken off of the main belt, and if nothing's been taken at that point, it is then just pretty much destroyed at the end of the loop. Which might sound confusing, but I'm hoping when you see it, it makes sense to you, and if it doesn't, you don't gotta worry because it makes sense to me. Thankfully, this planet has the processing units and low-density structures right off of the scrap recycling belts, so you get those immediately. The only thing you need to make for rockets is rocket fuel, so I spent some time making a nice little rocket fuel factory, and then get my first rocket silos online. Okay, there we go. We have rockets produced, and rocket silos. This is a very compact base so far. Alright. Everything's running, and it's all being wasted, essentially, right now. But at least when this is operating at 100% like this, shouldn't be any holmium on this, and all of it should be getting filtered there. I'm out of power. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. All the drones going. With my main recycling loop now working, all the parts I could need now being cycled off, and rockets ready to go, it's time to start making the electromagnetic science packs, which turned out to actually be pretty expensive. Let's just work my way back. 7 of these. Dude, the spaghetti mess that this base is turning into is something to be studied out of legend. Like, look at the amount of shit just being destroyed. Just thrown into the garbage. I need to make more electrolyte. But once the electrolyte's done, I can actually finally start manufacturing these electromagnetic thingy-mabobbies. That's not a direct quote, by the way. That's paraphrasing a bit. There we go. Electromagnetic science packs are now being produced. With those now online, I sent those science packs off to the rockets where they could be shipped on back to Nauvis so I can start doing some pretty epic research with my brand new science pack. Specifically, there is one technology I have been wanting since I first hit play on this playthrough. This is first. This is step 1. Considering it was 5,000 science, it was taking a while, so I decided to look around just a little bit to see what other scrap deposits were in the area while the research for my armor was being conducted. Guess I need to check the other side of this base. Ow! Ooh. That one hurt. I keep finding these, like, small patches, but I can't find any of the rich ones. Oh. Ready? Okay. There we go. Mech armor has been unlocked. Oh, yes. Dude, that's so nice. At this point, I'm pretty much the best player in the world, as I have become one with the machine. I then queue up a bunch of the Fulgora research that I will need, mainly things like personal batteries and the better shields, pretty much better things for my armor. And slightly unrelated, I watched the technology before that, the artillery shell range increase, because it's one of my favorite things to do. But once this gets to 100, all of these artillery ranges are going to get significantly bigger. And you're about to see just cannons firing off from all of these. There we go. Oh, look at them. Look at that. That is epic. This poor base. I then spent some time working on getting my ideal loadout for my mech armor, which is all technology that you get from Fulgora, as mentioned before. So I want 2 of these, 2 of these, 4 of these, and 4 of these. So here's what my armor's currently looking like. 6 of these guys, 2 reactors. Hopefully I can get that down to 1 when I get to the fusion guys. Alright. It's probably not the most efficient. There's probably better loadouts, but I like this. With my new ideal loadout that will power the mech armor for a long time, I quickly automate some more things on Fulgora, such as robots, and begin expanding out my power production even more with more accumulators and land. They're gonna turn this island into just a mega accumulator area type thing. I also started automating Tesla turrets and the better lightning rods at this point because I might as well, and I will really need the Tesla turrets for my next planet, so let's get those producing. Additionally, one other unlock from Fulgora is the Tier 3 quality modules, and I haven't messed around with quality too much, but I will soon enough, so let's start making those modules. That's good. Quality 3. At this point, I want an inner planet freighter that will go between Vulcanus, Gleba, and Fulgora. Obviously not Gleba yet, but its purpose will be just to take materials specific to each of those planets and send them to the other planets in that loop. Specifically right now, I want tungsten carbide from Vulcanus to be brought on over to Fulgora so I can make the speed module 3s here, as I don't really want to make them on Vulcanus. The blueprint for this ship is going to be the same one that is being used for my Fulgora freighter. Look at these rockets launched, dude. That's beautiful. But again, the power isn't great on it, so I want some better solar panels. And what better time to practice upcycling than with solar panels right now on Fulgora? So that's what I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, was how to upcycle things. Ooh, you see? That's nice. Okay, let's see if my first ever upcycling factory actually works as intended. Okay, now I think this is my first ever upcycling thing, and it seems to be doing okay. With those solar panels slowly being produced, I got the inner planet freighter going, and essentially what it was doing was bringing tungsten carbide, foundries, green belts, and cliff explosives from Vulcanus, and bringing the recyclers and electromagnetic control plants from Fulgora. So it was just exchanging those materials and making sure I had everything that I needed everywhere. Speaking of which, speed module 3s are now being produced, so let's go! Modules just make life so much easier. Obviously, I'm going to need a ton of modules, so I doubled my module production for both quality and speed modules, then headed on back to Nauvis to start using some of these modules. Specifically, I didn't want to use coal anymore for my smelting, so I'm going to start using electric furnaces, beacons, and speed module 3s to smelt my iron, copper, and stone. So this is producing 60 per second of each. These modules definitely have a good effect. Okay, there we go. Full green belts worth of copper and iron. With all my new technology, it was also time for a nice early game science overhaul. Particularly, most of my early sciences were not being produced in bulk as I was still using my starter factories, so I'm replacing those early game factories with new factories that are designed to make 600 red and green science per minute. While the red and green science were pretty easy to overhaul to 600 per minute, I want my blue science to do that too, and this is going to be a bit of a larger scale project, but that is what I am working on, getting my blue science to 600 per minute. The main upgrades needed for this were a oil overhaul and using the electromagnetic plants, as they are ridiculously good at making the circuits needed. I was also bringing back a lot of calcite from Vulcanus to Nauvis for the artillery shells, but all that extra calcite can be used to make lava and foundries, which can be used to make the engine units for Blue Science, and boy, oh boy, was this a massive productivity and efficiency upgrade. But boom, all those planet-specific buildings and the speed modules help me make 600 blue science per minute, meaning the only early game science I haven't automated yet is military science up to that level. So you can probably guess what I'm working on at this point, and I gotta say, military science is way easier than blue. Now we're making 600 blue, military red. Or red, green, blue, and military science per minute. Okay. There we go. Science has all been replaced. Now that all of the early game sciences are automated to 600 per minute, I want to revamp my novice base before heading off to the other planet. And this overhaul starts with the green circuits, as we obviously need a ton of them, and the electromagnetic plant will be perfect for making 2 full green belts of green circuits with a pretty high productivity. Alright, so this should be 60. That's crazy that this can make a whole green belt worth of circuits. I can save one green belt of copper for whatever. So I replaced that, so now my green circuits, I got 2 full belts of green circuits, which is good. With those done, I was considering heading off to Gleba, but I wanted to get purple science up to 600 per minute before I go. And that's because a lot of the technologies only require purple science, so that way I can always have something researching if I don't have the other necessary sciences. Unfortunately, purple science is a big step up from the early game sciences, so I'm going to need some fresh resource patches, particularly iron and stone for the rails needed. So I am off conquering some land to secure a nice stone and iron patch to just power the rails for my purple science factory. Okay, well, little expansion here. Okay, 4 green belts of iron, 4 green belts of stone is what I want here. Once that train line was all set up and I was bringing in those resources, I was able to turn it into 100 rails per second, which is what I need if I want 600 purple science per minute. All right, this should be making over 100, around 110 rails per second, which I need for my purple production packs. I want to get these up to 10 per second. And then I just had to set up an electric furnace factory and a productivity module 1 factory for the purple science, and honestly, that went a lot quicker than getting the rails. Those are producing, so 3 electric furnaces per second, 110 rails per second, and now I need 3 productivity module 1s per second. I don't know if that's big enough backup, but that's enough productivity module. All of that was then combined into this beautiful factory, which is producing 600 purple science per minute. All right, there we go. That is hopefully 600 purple science per minute. With that all done, my early game science is ready. I think it's time for me to stop putting off going to the best planet in the solar system. So I just copy my Fulgora freighter because it's working well and it should be fine, and rename it to the Gleba freighter, as that's where we're going to be heading pretty soon. Pretty sick, you gotta admit. After that freighter was built, I loaded it up with everything I think I'll need, dropped my inventory, said goodbye to my sanity, and launched off to the Gleba freighter to head off to, you guessed it, Gleba. Alright, let's go. I'm back off to space. I won't be back for a while, Novice, so... Alright, let's go. We are off to the swampy hellhole that is Gleba. Now that I am in orbit here, I know that I will drop down as one man, and when I come back up, I will be a whole new person. So I take a deep breath and drop onto the 3rd and final of the inner 3 planets. Here we go, the 3rd inner planet, and the one I've heard nothing but good things about. Let's go to Gleba. Okay, this looks fun. Like the last 2 planets, I didn't really know what to expect from this planet. I mean, I had seen the memes, but I didn't know too much of what was going on, so I took some time to get familiar with my surroundings. Okay, so this is what I had to mine to get, the tree thing. Okay. So it spoils into iron. Does the entire stack spoil, or is it just one? Does it go one at a time, kind of? Okay, so the entire stack spoils. Everything is spoiling at the same time. Okay, that's good. Because it's the Jelly Boys, and then it's Funnel No, Yamako. That's the other one I've heard about. Yamako and Jelly. Oh, so this thing is shooting them at me. Okay, well, at least I do some decent damage here. Again, I have heard all the memes about this, but I've tried to avoid too many spoilers because I want to build like a base on my own time and kind of how I would want to. Yeah, they can't do much against my Mark III shields, so that's good at least. More Yamako. So that's 3 minutes versus this is an hour. Okay. This planet was taking me a little bit longer to wrap my head around and get acquainted to, even in this little starting base, because the wonderful mechanic that is spoilage was giving me some issues. Okay, so everything spoils. Everything. Not some of it, and all of it. I did manage to craft myself a few of the biochambers, which are the specific buildings for this planet, and start to learn the recipes in there. These have a 50% productivity bonus too, so they're just better than the chemical plants. Yeah, I just want to get some of this stuff online. Okay, so bioflux jelly make rocket fuel, which can power boilers. All spoiled. Yeah, it was nice to have you. Everything on this planet spoils. Everything. Everything on this planet spoils. All of it. It's ridiculous, actually. And my brain was hurting trying to comprehend how the hell I'm going to make a factory when everything goes bad. This is a logistical problem I can't solve tonight. Now that my brain was back online, though, I actually started thinking and trying to begin setting up this main bus. 6 per second. So I need 10 of these to make 60 per second. Oh, and they make seeds too, which need to be transported back. So everything needs nutrients. The nutrients need other things to be made, but those other things can spoil, and they also need nutrients to be made. It's a weird loop overall, but once I get it kickstarted, it should be okay. So I'm spending quite a bit of time trying to figure out the loop and plan it out so that I can get it all kickstarted at once, because you can't really start one side of this factory and then start another. You kind of got to start everything all at once. Okay, so this will be my jelly nut processing. So do these only consume nutrients then, I guess? I don't know. Spoilage will need to go into there. There's a possibility of nutrients spoiling in here. There's a possibility of that. Oh, and the seeds too. So again, the nutrients line here, the nutrients will come in, get thrown onto these. This will make 2 full green belts of jelly nuts. The jelly nut seeds get filtered here and immediately sent to the logistics network to not back these chests up and back the lines up. So here's the jelly nuts will come in, or the jelly fruits. If it turns to spoilage, it'll eventually make its way to the end because these will only take regular, so it'll get filtered to the end onto the spoilage line. All of these machines, spoilage if it comes in, done, as well as at the end of the nutrient line. After a while, I've got this main bus to the point where I think it will work. I've got a Yamako mash, a jelly, a bioflux, and a nutrient factory. The jelly and the Yamako mash make bioflux. The bioflux makes nutrients, which powers it all. But I should be making more nutrients than I'm consuming, so it should be all fine. I know that spoilage can happen in the machines and on the belts, so I've got belts everywhere to get rid of the spoilage and just burn it, so I'm hoping I didn't miss anything. And it looks complex, and it is. This is just to get rid of any bioproducts and hopefully get power a bit more stable, but the only way to really test this out is to go out and start picking some jelly nuts and some Yamako, so let's go do that. After finding these patches, getting the agricultural towers online, and getting some seeds ready to go, along with the train lines that'll bring all of the fruits back, I think everything's good, so I'm going to use some rocket fuel to kickstart this factory, and just pray nothing goes catastrophically wrong. Alright, fuck it. We ball. Let's try it. I'm going to save the game, and let's try to turn this thing on. Things did go wrong everywhere, but nothing went too catastrophically wrong. I need you making bioflux for me here, so that these can make nutrients. Why is there fucking jelly nuts on this? Can these not be consumed? I guess not. Additionally, the excess bioflux and jelly I am making is being used to craft up a ton of rocket fuel, which will power my factory through heating towers, as well as the trains going to collect everything. Okay, this is good. I mean, I'm at least getting bigger areas now to start harvesting. I need to go do the same with the jelly nuts, so let's go do that while I Well, I have enough. I also will need a ton of power on this planet for a different reason, as the weapons defending my base cannot be lasers, they cannot be projectiles, they have to be the electric ones, because those are the only things the enemies are weak to. And speaking of the enemies, I think they now know that I am here. Oh, shit. Why is that an achievement? Okay, well, I'm trying to do as much turret coverage here as I can. Okay, things are more consistent now. Oh. Yeah, I always get stressed when I hear that sound. It's like a unnatural reaction, pretty much. Again, as long as everything's consistently running, I'm good with it. The bioflux alone will last a long time. That's what I need to make as much of this as possible. Thanks to me mass producing these Tesla turrets on Fulgora, though, I have a ton backed up. So I'm not going to do all this cutesy little stuff that I have been doing of just placing random ones everywhere. I am just going to make a solid wall of Tesla turrets all around the area where I think my base will go. While these turrets are great for defending this factory, the only negative part about it is their absolutely massive power draw, given that they are Tesla turrets. So I am setting up quite a large rocket fuel power plant just to keep my world afloat and my Tesla wall online. Make sure this is full at all times, and then this should power this. After that power plant was completed, I had all the juice I needed to fully complete my Tesla wall, so I finished that up quick. 200 megawatts to keep everything online, which, as long as this is working fine, I'm okay with that. And now that I have a fully defended and powered base, as well as the basics being produced, I can start working on getting the other basics that I need for expansion, mainly iron, copper, and steel, online. Okay, so this factory is pretty much self-sustaining at this point. It is good, though. I mean, it's doing... That means I've got plenty of nutrients to power everything. So to accomplish this on Gleba, you have to use cultivation, which isn't too hard. It's like you just cycle one back into itself and then it makes more. But these can spoil, so it could be iffy, but overall, it's not too complicated. However, I really want to do this efficiently, so I'm going to use Vulcanus production to turn the minimum amount of iron and copper into the maximum amount of steel plates, iron plates, and copper plates, as well as green circuits. Now, Vulcanus production does require calcite, but I kind of already got an interplanet freighter, so all I gotta do is add Gleba as a stop and drop some calcite down. Oh, okay, that's not good. Before I can do that, though, there is a calcite problem on Vulcanus that I need to solve remotely. I actually need to fix that. There's a lot of problems on Vulcanus I gotta fix, dude. This is why it's so essential that you have the infrastructure in place to do something like this, because I'm stuck right now on Gleba. If I didn't have this infrastructure set up, I would have run out of calcite. Additionally, besides this calcite problem, there was a severe sulfuric acid shortage on Vulcanus, so all I did was find another sulfuric acid node that was thankfully within my area, place a ton of pump jacks on it, and make a shit ton of auxiliary lines to bring all of that sulfuric acid back. Okay, things are happening here. Alright, that should hopefully solve my sulfuric acid problems for the foreseeable future. Anyways, the entire point of this, I was here to get calcite. Now that all the problems on Vulcanus are solved, and thank God I decided to use calcite, because if I didn't, Vulcanus would have died, I can now start working on bacteria cultivation on Gleba. Yeah, that was dumb. Why would I don't even know why I was considering that. I'll just put one in to start, and then it'll be good. For whatever reason, this bacteria cultivation was kind of breaking my brain a bit. Maybe I was just tired, but I was trying to figure out how to get it working. Like, this is all going to spoil into iron ore, which is what I want. But this will all spoil into iron ore too if this isn't being consumed at a 100% efficient rate, which is unfortunate. Okay, so I need to get an actual iron factory online here. And while designing this, I didn't notice a massive, almost catastrophic power issue on Gleba. Oh no. What? Okay, I can fix this. Oh shit. Get online. Not good. Why is that offline? Okay, that was almost catastrophic. Naturally, after barely surviving this, I immediately began construction on another massive power plant to hopefully prevent that from ever happening again. I thought this would be enough. Like, genuinely. I don't know, man. With that near disaster avoided, calcite coming in, and cultivation online, I can finally start getting my second main bus, which is going to be filled with materials that are non-spoilable, such as green circuits, copper plates, iron plates, and steel plates online. 900 molten iron and 900 molten copper per second. These backups should work. Yeah, okay, but this is exactly what I want. Just want it to be able to kickstart it no matter what. And considering I'm using a lot of it, it should be pretty fine. I'm making like 10 per second or so nothing crazy, but... I then made some small factories, such as a repair pack factory, that way my Gleba turrets can start getting repaired from the constant damage they are taking, and went off to expand my Yamako production because plastic takes Yamako mash, so I'm gonna need quite a lot more Yamako than what I'm bringing in to power this factory. Yamako drop-off number 2. The expansion ended up going pretty well, and I was able to get a bunch of plastic online, of which I used it to mainly make 20 red circuits per minute. You have to filter every splitter on this planet, dude. Okay, hopefully this will... My power grid... Oh my god. These red circuits, along with everything else on my main bus, can now be used to make pretty much everything I need for expansion. Inserter factories, assembler factories, power pole factories, stuff like that. Stuff that I will need to produce on-world if I really want to expand this base out. After expanding out, I again noticed that my power production was kind of near the point where it could go offline, and it confused me, but I just decided, okay, let's make another power plant. So I'm doing that for a bit. Trying to do as much power. Whoa. See, why does the power drop like that? And it was during this construction that I realized why my power plant kept failing. Holy shit. None of these have water. Oh my god, that's why the power's been so spotty. Look at it. The water is only connected up to this one. Oh my god. All of the power plants I had made were off the same blueprint, and in my original one, there was an error, so over half of the boilers were just not getting water, which explains why, when the power grid got to half, it would just crash. So I quickly fixed that error in all the power plants, and wouldn't you know it, I am now stable at 1.5 gigawatts of power. Now power's not a problem. Oh my god, half my actual power plant, the rocket fuel one, has been off this entire time. To celebrate this, I fully fortified my Tesla wall so there's no more spaces. It is just a line of Teslas, and then continue work on the non-spoilable side of my factory. The expansion on this side of the factory is going pretty well. One of the ingredients I'm missing is sulfur, so I quickly set up a sulfur factory, which does take spoilable stuff, but it wasn't too difficult. That allowed me to get sulfuric acid online, which is obviously used for processing units, but also for batteries, which allowed me to fully automate robots, so I've now got an army of robots on Gleba being produced to do my bidding. I then added an artificial soil factory, because I will need that to expand out my current Yamako and jelly nut patches. And notice that my electric fence, which is what I'm calling it, is starting to take a decent beating anytime the enemies come. So preferably sooner rather than later, I would like to start working on some better defenses in whatever form they might take on Gleba. In the meantime, though, we are getting blue circuits online. Alright, so that's blue circuit product. Blue circuits online. There's more and more of these guys each time. It's concerning. With those now online, we can work on the final rocket part we need for Gleba, the low-density structure. Okay, so that's 3 per second of those, and I really don't know how many of these it's going to take, so... At this point, I pretty much have enough to make rockets, but I want to get more rocket fuel and a bunch of other stuff online before I really start working on science and all that jazz, so I kind of want to get like a second main bus going to the left of my current setup. To do this, I expanded my Yamako production, my jelly nut production, then began designing the base of my second main bus, which again will be designed for rocket fuel, as well as agricultural science and a few other little tidbits. Oh, and I did get to plow over the beautiful landscape, the ugly-ass landscape, the horrific landscape with a nice layer of protective concrete, which honestly is pretty fun on this planet so far. It's a nice open area, paved over. Thankfully, the environment's safe. I paved over it, so it's all protected under that layer of concrete. With the base of the factory now done though, and all of the required things ready to go, I begin making a nice little factory that will manufacture both biochambers and agricultural science out of the pentapod eggs that will come online soon enough. Then I wanted to stop grabbing from here, because I don't want a pentapod egg just chilling in here. Okay, I think I'm pretty much at the point now where I'm ready to see if I can get it going. Once I've got a design for this factory that I am pretty happy with, I retrofit my labs on Nauvis to get rid of spoilage because some psychopath decided to have the science packs themselves expire or spoil or whatever, which is ludicrous to me. But nonetheless, it's a problem that I quickly come up with a solution for, and then it's finally time to get my second main bus online. It powers up. Everything started up just fine, and I now have agricultural science on Nauvis, and given that it spoils, I think it's time to finally start doing some research with it. Oh, there it comes. The agricultural science. Okay, I can finally start doing it. Yes, sir. With that research now being conducted, the first thing I do is make a quick little factory for carbon fiber, as that will be very important for most of the Gleba-specific items. Now, lots of carbon fiber. And speaking of those Gleba-specific items, I'm just going to get them online right now, so stack inserters and missile turrets are now being made and sent back to Nauvis. Okay, stack inserters are being produced. I am now producing rocket turrets as well. This planet's been a headache so far, but I think I finally got a pretty decent grasp of it, or at least it's going well. At this point, Gleba has pretty much been conquered, or at least I've got everything that I want automated on Gleba. So I am going to head back to Nauvis now that I'm shipping Bioflux back to Nauvis, as I want to go start capturing some biter nests and getting biter eggs. So for now, I bid adieu to Gleba. Alright, I am getting off this planet. I am finally free from Gleba. Now that I'm back on Nauvis, to kind of reward myself for surviving Gleba, I go out to release some anger and nuke a few things. It felt good. As well as learn the basics of capturing the natives' children to turn them into useful factory components. Capturing it. I just want to see how this works. Okay, so these will make 0.5 per second. Now that I understood the basics, though, of how it worked, I unlocked some pretty awesome technologies that require those eggs, and I would argue these technologies are some of the best in the game. Well, we're about to have the biolab research, which is good. And productivity modules, which is better. At this point, I'm feeling myself a little bit, so I decide to upgrade my entire base. Alright, this is fully upgrading every belt. I then unlock the quality level that can be used to describe this entire DLC so far, Epic. And after paving over this lake, it's time for me to start working on the Productivity 3 and the Efficiency 3 modules, all of which will be made right here on Nauvis. But yeah, my plan is I'm going to trash all of this blue circuit production here. I'm going to do it better myself, so I got electromagnetic plant. I just need to figure out how many I need. The Efficiency 3 modules only take spoilage, and that spoilage is coming from my spoiled science packs as well as spoiled bioflux, so I have a steady stream of that. So that factory came online pretty quick, and those beautiful green modules are now coming through. I will likely get an achievement for this, but let's just wait and see. There we go. This means the only modules I don't have yet are Productivity 3 modules, which take biter eggs. Now, I need to go get some nests, but the problem is my artillery has cleared out quite a large area around my base, so I'm taking a train over this massive lake to go capture a few biter nests and get a few biter eggs. This will work for me. Yeah, I need to clear out some structures, and by that I mean the natives' home. Turn away your eyes, children. I'm gonna harvest these ones. These ones. Fortunately, they're in the way. Okay, biter eggs. Looks like they don't start rotting until they're outside of the nest, which is good. Alright, that'll work. I mean, first little biter outpost, nothing crazy. I am making 2 biter eggs per second, so that's probably more than enough. Now that these children are being harvested per request, and I've got a ton of the eggs coming back, Productivity 3 modules and biolabs are now online, with any egg that doesn't make it to one of those being thrown in the furnace. I now have a biolab. Oh. Ooh, yeah. Forgot about that. I forgot speed killed quality. With biolabs and productivity 3 modules, it's time to make an endgame laboratory area using both of those, so I spent a bit of time doing that. Prod 3s, 50% science drain, 40% productivity, big speed boosts, science drains, everything's good there. Right on time, planet discovery. We have now discovered Aquilo. Once that was completed, I noticed my Gleba base was having some problems just being low on Yamako and Jelly Nut and stuff like that, so I want to expand those productions. To do that, I'm going to use overgrowth soil, which needs biter eggs to be shipped over to Gleba. The problem is I am not producing enough biter eggs right now to sustain that transport plus everything I'm already doing, so I need to go capture a much bigger biter nest near my currently captured one that'll produce enough biter eggs to last me hopefully the rest of the game. I want to capture this whole nest. That's my goal. After what effectively turned into spawn camping, I had all these nests captured and well protected with the eggs being shipped back. Okay. Now any spoilage will get filtered off here. Other than that, it's just going to be nice. Bioflux. Nest has been captured. So I now have overgrowth soil on Gleba, which I can use to expand my production. And then I can just start expanding Yamako out this way. I mean, you can see you can place it all along here, so. With Gleba now taken care of, I am working on designing a factory for my yellow science because it's the only science I'm not making 600 per minute of, at least with the novice sciences. So obviously I need to get that one up to scratch when I made an unfortunate error of nuking myself. Oh, I just nuked myself. I hit the wrong button there. Oh, man. After removing that weapon from my inventory, I did notice that the grid was close to blowing, so I doubled my nuclear production because I have plenty of nuclear fuel cells. At this point, I realized my green circuit production was simply unsatisfactory, so using Vulcanus and Fulgora production power, along with the new stack inserters from Gleba, I was able to make a factory producing 480 green circuits per minute on these 2 green belts, which should power my factory into the endgame. This should be producing 480 green circuits per second, so. Oh my god. 480 green circuits per second is a crazy number. At this point, I was ready to start working on the yellow science when things on Gleba took a turn for the worst. Oh, that's really bad. What the hell? Okay, this is a problem. This is a big problem. This is a massive problem. Yeah, this is a problem that can't wait, as my Gleba base will be overwhelmed soon by these attacks, as well as my production just failing at some points. So I am personally heading back to that hellhole to clear out some of the nests. Oh, I would have been furious if that killed me. Once a lot of the really dangerous nests were taken care of, I restarted the egg production, and then it's time to add one more layer of defense that will make it so this base is fully defended and I shouldn't have to come back again, artillery. But essentially just boom, 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 boom. 8 artillery pieces just massacring anything even remotely close. It will at least slow down the attacks. So I began shipping in all of the materials we need to make artillery on this planet, and once the interplanet freighter was dropping everything off and all those factories were built, my big and beautiful guns got to work. Clearing out the nests as intended and as it should. Okay, my base will be mostly safe now because these pentapods are being removed. Oh, look at the little home they have. With Gleba now defended by Vulcanus artillery power, I head back to Nauvis as I don't need to be here anymore and actually begin working on my yellow science factory. I started off by making my flying robot frames. Okay, so this is the flying robot frames I need. Okay, no, alright, I'm back. Brain's back, mostly, sort of. What else do I need? So that should be 2.5 robot frames per second. Alright. So that's one of the 3 ingredients we need to make 600 yellow science per minute. With enough of those now being produced, I belt in some excess blue circuits I have, and finally begin working on the low-density structures for which I will be using Vulcanus power to make. Alright, that is good. Yeah, that's it, right there. So once I just need to get these LDSs online using the power of lava. With that all now set up, yellow science is now coming through at a rate of 600 per minute, meaning it matches purple down through red. All right, it is gorgeous. It is beautiful. They're all pumping away, and now I'm making 600 of each. For this next little bit of the video, I might have been drunk and lazy. Before heading off to Aquilo, I'm gonna need more space science, and I'll be the first to admit that my initial space science platform isn't the best, so I might have just copied someone else's design who is significantly smarter than me. Alright, so this is producing about 500 per minute. Shout out to the guy who made this design on Factorio Prints. And additionally, now that I've got excess space science, I need to start working on the Aquilo freighter. And my initial design, again, being a bit lazy, I just copied someone who was better than me's design. There are days where you do things you're just not proud of. Because this looks really freaking sick. However, this initial freighter that I copied, I realized wasn't going to do everything I wanted it to do, and would only be good for bringing back science, but not actually bringing out materials to Aquilo. So now that my brain is functioning and it's a new day, I began construction on my very own heavy freighter that will be able to withstand the intense asteroid field surrounding Aquilo. Let's build this myself. I'm in a mood to build it today. There was a lot of new stuff that I had unlocked and a lot of things I wanted on this spaceship, so it did take me quite a while to design this freighter myself, but I figured it was good and it's better to do it yourself anyways to get that real fulfilling experience. Okay, it's coming together. It's coming together, but it's complicated. Trying to figure this out. Oh, that's my voice, by the way. That's not like a voice changer or something. That's just me chilling. I don't even know. Is that? I feel like that's something everyone's done before, right? Or I feel like everyone's got a weird talent. I don't know. I've never heard someone else talk like that, but I can do it. After quite a vigorous design process, though, lots of troubleshooting, lots of figuring things out, and lots of trial and error, I finally think I have a Aquilo-worthy spaceship that can bring everything I want there, and everything I craft on Aquilo back to Nauvis without too many problems. But yeah, this will work out pretty well. These are getting fed. I can get a ton of supplies in here. It'll take a while for this to fully, back up and be good, but I think we're chilling. With the heavy freighter now ready though, and beginning to load up on missiles and stuff, I begin shipping up all the materials that I think I will need to bring to Aquilo for this journey, as well as starting to catch some fish on Nauvis because I want to play with a new toy. Alright, I have a Spidertron though, let's go! Of course, now that I got a Spidertron, I gotta take it out for a spin because I love finding new and creative ways to kill enemies. That is beautiful. You see, this is what this game was built for. Additionally, I had been putting quality modules into some assemblers that were making personal equipment for me, so my equipment grid was looking a little bit better before heading off to Aquilo. But at this point, I am ready, my spaceship is ready, so I dump my inventory, take a nice little joyride up, and begin the journey to Aquilo. Boom. Let's go. Shit. Okay, yeah, that first journey might not have gone as well as I would have liked, but I am loading an autosave because I am not crazy. Whoops, I accidentally reloaded a previous save. That's unfortunate. So I quickly apply some fixes to this spaceship, and now I think I'm ready for round 2. Here we go, so it's pretty much just going to constantly loop missiles now, and then add in missiles to the system as they're made. But this way, there should always be missiles where I need to, and I should have enough of a backup to get to Aquilo now. So let's go. Those fixes did allow my ship to safely get into orbit around Aquilo, so for the last time in this playthrough, it is time to drop down to a brand new planet, this time Aquilo. Well, look at what we got going on here. Like every other planet, I don't really know what the hell's going on, so I spent some time getting acquainted with my surroundings, which are pretty bare in this case, and trying to figure out how this planet works. Okay, so you can't build fucking anywhere on this thing. After a while, I hadn't figured out too much, except for the fact that I was going to need a ton of concrete and a ton of heat. I like how the other planets you can kind of bootstrap your way in. Like, you could do each planet if you landed with nothing. This one you need. This one you need everything. At this point, I began designing an initial factory to hopefully power the entire factory. So my plan was to make rocket fuel, because there's a nice rocket fuel recipe out of the ammonia you pull out of the oceans. That will be used to heat up heat exchangers. That can be used to make sure everything is not frozen solid, as well as to melt ice into water and turn that water into steam, which can be converted to power, which will power this entire base. That's the plan. I need to set up a full, complete factory layout, though, before actually starting to use rocket fuel manually to heat everything, because I only have a limited amount of it. So setting up this factory, as well as making sure heating pipes were going absolutely everywhere, was what I spent a little while doing. Man, trying to keep this all heated is going to be such a pain, dude. Holy crap. This is like Gleba, and like it's a headache to get kickstarted. Once it's started, I think I'll be fine, but... Once I had a design I was happy with and that I was pretty confident would work, I began feeding my heat exchangers rocket fuel and used a little bit of solar power, whatever I could get out here, to kickstart this base and get it becoming self-sufficient. I guess I just start putting rocket fuel in there, but... Pretty much need these to give me some water. They can give me a bit of steam to go into here to actually kickstart the whole plant. That's the prayer, is that's how it works, but I don't really know if it will, so just got to get these up to temperature of 500. All right, well, we'll just have to wait and see, but I think this is online now, which is good. Once the turbines kicked on and rocket fuel was really being produced, I'm in a pretty good spot. The only problem I was having, really, was too much ice was being produced, and you can't throw it out, but what you can do with it is use recyclers to destroy it, so setting up a loop for that solved most of my headaches. And it should crush all of the ice that's not used, right? And there, boom, I now have a fully self-powered, self-heated Aquilo base that won't die anytime soon. Okay, power production is good. Producing 76 per minute taking. Alright, producing what I'm taking. That's good. But like a few other times in this playthrough, once everything is going good, there's a problem on Gleba. Oh shit. Lots of spoilage. I guess it must have just ran out of nutrients. Naturally, the next little while was spent using spoilage and recycling biolabs to restart my production on Gleba, which took quite a while, but I got it up and going eventually with a few new safeguards. This spoilage is stupid. I didn't think it, like, did that, but... I didn't think the thing did the thing with the thing, but... It appears that if you use, like, a half-used jelly nut, you get, like, half-used whatever. Any other catastrophic problems going on? Additionally, given that the Gleba production was shut down, that meant Bioflux was not being shipped back to Nauvis, so there was a few problems with the biter nests there. Yeah. Okay, the biter spawners are going to be a problem now, too. I'm just spawn camping these guys. To stop this spawn camping, I loaded up a Spidertron with a bunch of capture robots and brought it on over to my biter nests. And with that and Gleba production back online, I can finally get back to working on Aquilo stuff, specifically smelting some lithium and unlocking cryogenic plants. Alright, let's see. Now that I have cryogenic plants unlocked, I obviously want to start making them. The problem is that crafting these cryogenic plants, along with a lot of other stuff on Aquilo, actually requires a lot of materials to be shipped in. Particularly for the cryogenic plants, you need holmium plates, concrete, and superconductors. So I need to up the production of those things on Fulgora and actually start getting my heavy freighter to ship those items in so I can begin crafting my plants. Alright, well, let's start I've got, like, how much? Almost 300,000 holmium ore. Alright, well, lots of superconductors. Okay, yeah. So, the heavy freighter. While those items were being shipped, I realized I forgot to restart agricultural science on Gleba, so I quickly recycled a biochamber and got that back online. Then used all of my new resources now being transported to Aquilo to make a cryogenic plant factory, and of course, get some cryogenic plants themselves. Alright, I think I'm actually about to get all these cryogenic plants online now. My first cryogenic plants are now being made. Really? Yeah. can handle extremely low temperatures, and yet it's freezing. This is the point of it. The point is we got cryogenic plants. Well, I was a bit disappointed these plants couldn't actually handle low temperatures. The recipes in them were pretty good, as well as the fact it has 8 module slots, which is absurd, especially for quality-related things. For now, though, I want to use these plants to make lithium, as they are pretty good at making that. So I began working on setting up my first factory using cryogenic plants to make a ton of lithium to power, hopefully, everything on this planet. We're getting the maximum lithium out of this. That's crazy. In that case, I am going to do these prod mods. I just want to maximize the lithium plates I'm getting. With a ton of lithium now being produced, I want to start working on the cryogenic science packs, as that is the entire reason we are here, to use those to get some cool technology. So I am setting up a factory to make those, and I'm having some problems getting it all to fit. Don't really want to use bots because they use so much power for shit like this. And I've already stretched my guy thin enough. Okay, come on, Banks. Thankfully for me, I'm used to not having a problem. Thankfully for me, I am used to having a problem with it not fitting. So, god damn it. Oh, come on. Thankfully for me, I'm used to having a problem with it not fitting. So I kept at it and kept trying to get this factory to fit. I don't know. Okay, that works. Come on. Hopefully it can reach up here to Florikine Island or whatever you want to call this. Alright. I have harvested floor. God damn it, there's one more up here. That just finished. Then there's gonna be some... Yeah, this. Yeah, there's gonna be some hell to pay here for some of these nests that have been attacking us. Anytime you see the artillery range expand, you just know all hell is about to break loose. After quite a lot of tweaking, though, I finally had cryogenic science coming through and being produced. So the only thing left to do was to get some rockets online so I could launch this cryogenic science off to my ship to bring it back to Nauvis. So this bad boy is going off to do the thing with the thing. Alright, it's holding my 2000 science. That's good. Now that cryogenic science is being brought back to Nauvis, I did notice that my Nauvis oil supplies were very low. So you can see the plastic and sulfur are not really coming through. And that's because petroleum isn't really coming through. It's because the oil's not really coming through. Thankfully, I got an army of robots that can build me a train line out to a nearby oil patch while I'm away on Aquilo. So I am supervising that construction and oil grabbing process while my ship brings back cryogenic science to Nauvis. Alright, so we are going to automate going to get oil, which is... Whew. If I was an American, I would be turned on right now. And would you look at that, cryogenic science is now in my biolabs at Nauvis, meaning it is finally time to start researching all of these awesome technologies while continuing to work on my oil outpost. My first ever cryogenic research, starting with the quantum processor. Let's go. Research with cryogenics, baby. Come on. There we go. My first oil train is online. Alright, yeah, good. That oil issue is taken care of mostly, and if I need more, I can quickly go out there. This will be a bloodbath for a minute while... Oh my god. Now that my plastic and sulfur situation on Nauvis is sorted thanks to my new influx of oil, I was looking forward to the future when I got this pretty awesome achievement. There we go. I have researched all technologies now. Now that I'm nearing the end, there's a few goals I really want to hit before leaving the solar system. First of all, obviously, I need to work on all of the quantum processor technologies, such as railguns, fusion power, and stuff like that. But my main goal that I want to hit before leaving the solar system is I want legendary mech armor, which is kind of absurd, but I do have my mind set on it. Before starting to upcycle everything I need for this armor, though, I want to start making quantum processors on Aquilo, which, by the way, are probably the most complex item in the game, as they take stuff from each and every planet. With the help of plenty of productivity modules, so let's make a quick I want to make a quick factory to start making quantum processors. So this should make plenty of quantum processors now. Once the carbon fiber and the tungsten, which should be getting shipped in soon. Carbon fiber and tungsten will be shipped in, along with all the other normal materials. Now that I have a factory ready to make quantum processors on Aquilo when the materials get here, it's time to start upcycling some things. And the main thing I'm going to need for a lot of this is processing units. I am already making a ton of them on Nauvis, so I'm going to spend some time expanding that factory, adding quality modules to everything, then taking any quality blue circuit that I produce and trying to upcycle it all the way to legendary. Okay, well the blue is backing up there, the blue's backed up there, which means I'm producing just enough. So something like this should work in theory, I think. I mean, I don't know for sure. Solid though. It's exactly what we wanted. So that is one item upcycling. Now that the processing unit factory is upcycling at a pretty good pace, I need to do the same for exoskeletons, as I have quite a large backup of lower quality ones, so I want to upcycle them as much as possible to turn those into legendary ones, because, well, let's be honest, those are sick. Okay, need to get my legs online. Starting up this exoskeleton upcycler, let me see something absolutely beautiful. Well, immediately, got my first pair of legendary exoskeletons. I also had a large backup of portable nuclear reactors that I wanted to upcycle, so I set up a very similar upcycling plant right next to my exoskeleton one. Alright, that should make me a nuclear power plant, or nuclear. It was then time to head off to Fulgora, as there was a lot there I needed to upcycle for my mech armor, starting of course with the superconductors that I found out the hard way don't actually recycle. That, and it should recycle into those, but instead it's recycling into superconductors themselves? Alright, well, I guess that's, yeah. Guess that one's online. So I just moved straight onto supercapacitors, as legendary supercapacitors are something I will need a lot of if I want a full set of legendary mech armor. After quite a bit of work, I have a nice little setup on Fulgora that upcycles supercapacitors, as well as some superconductors, and also gets me some additional legendary holmium plates, which I will need. Okay, so some of the legendary stuff is just going to come down here and be filtered, because I'm going to need legendary holmium plates, legendary electronic circuits. So now I've got processing units, holmium plates automated, superconductors automated, supercapacitors. All of those are being made into legendaries. This holmium plates will probably be the slowest of the bunch, but at this point, though, I want to take a break from all of this upcycling stuff to go work on something new and cool that I have unlocked. Specifically, I want to start generating some power from fusion, thanks to all of the quantum processors I now have on Aquilo. After quite a lot of Googling, and definitely not copying people who are smarter than me's designs, I now have a fusion power plant up and ready to go that only needs a quick kickstart. Oh? Just want to make sure these guys have enough. Wanted to build up a nice supply of flora ketone. So here's my first fusion power plant going. Now that I have the power, literally because I'm producing fusion power, I make a mistake of a factory on Fulgora that's supposed to upcycle the low density structures, but turned out not to be too helpful at all. And then I'm back on Aquilo, starting to manufacture railguns, as that is the final thing I will need to make to escape the solar system. Hey, that's crazy that at this point I am building the last things I'll need to get out of the solar system. Feels like just 600 days ago I started this. 100,000 kilometer journey from here to here. Once these railguns are being produced, I'm pretty much ready to make my final spaceship. However, as I said before, I really want legendary mech armor before leaving. Looking at the recipe to make legendary mech armor, the main thing I think I'm gonna need is a legendary power armor Mark II, which is going to take a lot of red and green circuits due to all the efficiency modules in it, so I am making an upcycler for those bad boys. After making this and seeing how slowly I am getting legendary items, I'm kind of regretting setting the goal to get legendary mech armor, but we ball and I'm going to get it. It's just going to take a frustratingly long amount of time. I guess the goal would be 6 of these personal roboports. Oh man, there's so much shit to do. What am I doing? Why am I here? This is one of those things I kind of just gotta leave running in the background and just pray. To keep the legendary items flowing, I had an upcycler on Fulgora for blue circuits just because I have excess there, so I might as well turn it into legendary green and red circuits. Legendary electric engines are also something that I'm gonna need quite a few of if I want to complete this loadout, so I retrofit my electric engine factory, supporting my yellow science factory to make quality electric engines and then upcycle those. Some higher quality engines now. So it looks like we are using more blue circuits than we're making. Oh. Yeah, that'll do it. Additionally, I have a lot of excess iron plates that I'm not really using, and they recycle into themselves, so if I crush them, recycle them, and then use quality modules, there's a chance it'll upcycle, which means I am now setting up a factory to burn the excess iron plates I don't use on my main bus to turn it into, hopefully, quality iron plates. Hopefully, that way, with the extra iron plates we're producing, we'll get at least a few extra, or a few legendary plates here or there. I'm gonna wait here until I get one. Oh, there we go. Legendary iron plate. All of these factories are starting to increase the amount of legendary items I have, and I'm getting close to legendary power armor Mark II, but I'm still gonna need a ton of legendary holmium plates, so I am back on Fulgora trying to find a new way to upcycle holmium plates, as they are a pain in the ass to get. It's just back into itself then. All right, 50 of those. So I'm missing 145 holmium plates, and I pretty much have everything else I need. After all that was completed, though, and legendary stuff is being produced all over, though not a lot of it, I finally have my set of legendary power armor Mark II. Now, finally, boom, boom. A legendary power armor Mark II. Here we go. Look at the equipment grid size. I still need to wear this for now, but getting close. Obviously, I want to turn it into legendary mech armor, so I shipped this legendary power armor Mark II off to Fulgora and set up a little factory there, requesting all of the items I need for the legendary mech armor. And at this point, I have everything I need. It's just a waiting game to wait for my legendary holmium plates to come through. That's alright, though. So yeah, I guess we just wait for us to eventually get 84... for 116 more holmium plates. While I'm waiting for the holmium plates to produce, I think it's about time I start making the ship that will get me out of the solar system. So I ship back all of the Aquilo parts, railguns, and fusion power stuff that I will need for this star penetrator, which is what I'm going to call it. Absolutely. There it goes. So that's going to be what takes me to the edge of the solar system. Right here. Essentially, my plan for this ship is to take the heavy freighter that has been doing the Aquilo trip, add some railguns and some fusion power to it, then retrofit it just enough so it can get to the edge of the solar system. We'll need to redesign the whole front of the ship, pretty much. One there, one there, one there, one there, one there. That's kind of what I'm envisioning. Also, while all of this was going on, the legendary items that I wasn't using directly for my mech armor, I was trying to recycle, crush, turn into items that can be used to make the equipment that goes inside of my legendary mech armor. So a bit of that's been going on while designing this star penetrator. How much does each roboport take? Let's just start there. A bit later on, though, I checked my Fulgora base, and I saw something absolutely beautiful. Obviously, I shipped it back right away and then got to experience this glorious moment of slipping into my permanent new armor. That's like everything I had in my inventory before. That is crazy. Point is, though, I am now wearing legendary mech armor. After this, I quickly finished designing the ship that will take me out of the solar system, so all that's really left to do for it is wait a while for it to load up on all the ammo it needs. While this was going on, I fixed some last-minute problems around my factory and began making as much legendary equipment to fill my legendary armor grid as possible. That's kind of what I wanted right there, was at least 3 legendaries, which is equivalent to 186 robots. So this one, obviously, I need Promethean science, and that's a whole thing. But the only other tech I have never researched is my character health. And I am kind of curious how fast this will research. Alright, we're getting these energy shield Mark IIs. I think I'll want 5 of them, so it's going to be the goal. We have gotten 5 of the better energy shields. After a while, I had made a decent amount of progress in getting legendary equipment, but to fully fill this up, it would take much, much longer, and I am itching to leave the solar system, so I suppose it's about time to get going. For the big, these ones will target the big ones, these ones will target the huge ones, and these ones will clean up the remnants. The Star Penetrator. After stopping at Aquilo, I kind of took a deep breath, make sure to save the game, and then headed off on Attempt 1 to reach the solar system edge. And yes, Attempt 1 is just a little bit of foreshadowing. 100,000 kilometers. Let's see if we can make it. I honestly think the ammo is probably what's going to limit me the most here. Oh, no. Oh, no. After this failure, I obviously had to respec the ship, try to solve all the problems I encountered, and while I was doing this, I realized I hadn't used the Spidertron remote yet, and there were some enemies causing some slight problems to my operation, so instead of going there and handling it personally, I'm just going to use the Spidertron remote and see what I can do. Alright, let me... This might actually give me a chance to use some Spidertron. Oh, shit. Well, after their brave sacrifice, it is time to head out to the solar system edge for attempt number 2. Come on, dude. Oh, no. No. No, not like this. Not like this. Are you kidding me? Alright, I'm just gonna have to go add another foundry, bro. $69,000. Take it all. Take it. Much better this time, but still a few small design flaws that need to be addressed if I want to make it all the way. So let's redesign this ship for a third time, and then head on out for, you know what they say, third time's a charm. Remember when I thought getting to Aquilo would be the challenge? Huh. Nope. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. This time for sure. The red ammo's giving me, it's being pushed back. It's throwing a little, giving me some attitude, but it's going okay. 80,000, dude. We're so close, man. Come on. The missiles are thin. The ammo's almost out. Come on. We can get there, boys. I think that's it. I think that's it. Oh. Oh, man. 144 hours, 6 minutes, and 15 seconds to beat this game. Yes, 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 yes. You can't see it right now, but I'm smiling so much. Oh, man, I did it. I fucking did it, dude. I mean, yeah, that's pretty awesome, and it was a pretty awesome moment to finally beat Factorio Space Age that I kinda had to fully absorb. Naturally, this came with the beautiful benefit of getting to add my game to the galaxy of fame. Bandit Banks' complete addiction. Comment. We made it, boys. Well, my ship is heading back to Nauvis, and by the way, it did make it. I can officially say that I have now beat Factorio Space Age. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, you know the drill. I appreciate you guys being here at the end of this journey. It was a long one, I put a lot of effort into this video, so I hope you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did. I don't really know if I'll do any more Factorio content, because I don't really know where I'd go from here. Obviously, there's a lot more I could do in this game, but I don't know how I'd make a video out of it, and that would just be something I'd do randomly, so let me know if you have any ideas, or if you want to see more. At this point, though, I have rambled on for long enough. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. But it's been your boy, Bandit Banks, and I will catch you all in the next one.